Welcome to Taking Charge of Your Life. This is part 4. Tonight's topic is Hurried, Worried, and Buried, and we're glad to have Pastor Ted Baze with us here tonight. Before we jump into the topic for the evening, just a few reminders for those who are jumping onto Zoom. This will be recorded. It is live on YouTube, so if you would rather not have your face in the video recording, just unmute yourself, but you can still talk to us. There will be probably a few questions from Pastor Ted throughout the evening and a Q&A maybe at the end. I can like to take a minute to introduce Pastor Ted Baze to you a little bit. Pastor Ted, a little bit about him. He is a pastor, married to a wonderful lady named Shelley Baze. They have 2 children and now a brand new daughter-in-law. Their son got married this last weekend. Yay for that. He has been pastoring since 1988. That's a long time. Is that, how many years is that, Pastor Ted?
Too many to count.
Well, over 20, 25, over 25, I think,
Over
right?
30, yep.
Okay. And he put a little note on here. He is enjoying being with the people in this community for the last 8 years. He has been pastoring at the Ceres Seventh-day Adventist Church and is the senior pastor at this time at that church. And we're glad to have him here to present a topic tonight that really, I think, drives home or strikes home for most of us at some point in our lives, the topic of stress and how to manage that better. And he's done presentations on this previously, and he's done much counseling with people who have been in very stressful situations throughout the years. So I think he's more than qualified to do this presentation. Before we get started, Dr. Ed, since you're on, would you mind having an opening prayer for us?
Father in heaven, we do know that when we come to you, we can find solutions for many things. And during this time, a lot of us have been realizing that stress has taken over and it's affecting many people, including ourselves. So, dear Lord, we pray you'll bless Pastor Ted as he shares from. Amen.
Amen. The longer you live, the more you realize that stress is a part of life. You mentioned, we're enjoying spending time here in Ceres and Patterson. We have both those churches, and it's good to see how God actually helps us in this whole arena of stress. I wanted to start with a text from Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes is a fascinating book. And several times in the book of Ecclesiastes, if you want to go on a treasure hunt, just look for the things that Solomon says there's nothing better than. One of them is here in chapter 3, verse 22. He said, I perceived that nothing is better than that a man should rejoice in his own works, for that is his heritage, for who can bring him to see what will happen after him? Earlier in chapter 3, in verse 12, he said, I know that nothing is better for them than to rejoice and do good in their lives, and also that every man should eat and drink and enjoy the good of all his labors. It is the gift of God. So there's kind of a background to Hurried, Worried, and Buried. There's an old Chinese proverb that says, we hurry, we worry, we bury. So there's the summary of many, many people's lives. We hurry, we worry, and then we bury. Somehow there's got to be something more than that. We have to have some kind of a better life. So there is a Christian author, psychiatrist, Richard Winter. He said it this way: when stimulation comes at us from every side, we reach a point where we cannot respond with much depth to anything. Now that's a challenge. How often have you gotten to a point when you are working on a project when your mind just went numb? and you just felt like, I can't think about anything right now. You've taken on so much that you have just crippled yourself to the point where you really can't do anything. And the last thing you really feel like doing is stopping, and yet you realize there has to be something more than this. So he goes on. He says, bombarded with so much that demands our attention, we tend to shut down our attention to everything. So most of us have this little device called a cell phone. Now, a telephone used to be something you would pick up and use to call somebody. People actually rarely use their phones to call anybody today. But it's giving us access to all kinds of things. We got the news, we've got the weather, we have shopping, we have friends, work, email, texting, alerts. Everything is coming at us. And there's an interesting question, and that is, are we managing our smartphones, or are our smartphones managing us? And the other scary thought I had was, is it possible that whoever is programming our smartphone is actually programming us? So we are being yanked around by the devices that we think we are using to manage our lives. So again, bombarded with so much, we tend to not be able to focus on anything. So here's another interesting question. Does your life feel like an emergency? Are we running from one fire to the next, to the next, to the next, and everything is just one big emergency? So here's a question for you. Think back to the last time something felt like it was an emergency, but it didn't turn out to be that important after all. So can you think of something? Any thoughts? First one that came to my mind was, I thought of something that I might want to fix for a meal. And I opened the refrigerator and could not find what I was looking for. Well, I know that's somewhat of a minor emergency, but when you got your mind on something, and so sure, initially it was a stressor. I can't find what I need.
I thought of one.
Okay.
I'm in the habit of backing up the data on my computers to the cloud. And I have this service that is coming up July 12th. It's going to be due. It's $100 again. And I decided I don't want to pay $100 anymore. I found this service that is $6.95 for the first year. Then it goes up to $50. Well, I thought that sounds good. And I could back up my 2 laptops and my desktop. And I've never backed up Barb's computer, but I can back up hers too. So I thought, oh, great. This sounds too good to. Anyway, make it a little shorter. They sent me a hard drive so that you can do it at home instead of slow-mo when you do it on the internet. It's very slow. It may take 3 weeks. Anyway, I was beside myself because they never got around to doing my 2 laptops. And I called them, I texted them, I sent them emails, and I finally decided I'm going to call them and find out what's going on. Oh, I think they got messed up your data, so they may not be able to do it. Anyway, I can do it myself. I would have been much less stressed if I would just done it myself. Anyway, I'm just saying it seemed like a big deal. I made it a big deal. Every day I'd come look and see if it was backed up or not, and check the other 2 computers, and even today it still says no data. So anyway, it's not a big deal. Nothing was lost. Nobody died. but it did seem like an emergency when they didn't do what they promised.
Yeah. Good illustration. You know, things get so big in our minds sometimes. But when you take a couple steps back, you know, if you try to remember all the things that were really stressful last year, there are a few of them that will come to mind, but most of them, even the time you lost your keys last year, it's not that big of a deal right now. You know, it all worked out. So living your life like an emergency is actually very stressful and doesn't really help us live. Another crucial point, and that is even doing too many good things can crowd out life's best and most important priorities. So I could spend my whole day doing things that are good things. But when I get to the end of the day, does it really matter? And as I've thought about this, I've realized really understanding what my priorities are. So when I come to the end of this day, is my family stronger because I lived today? Do I have a clearer sense of my purpose in life because I lived today? There are a lot of high priority things that are really easy to have bumped. And I can remember, especially back when my kids were home, and there'd be this urgent thing that would come up. And there were a few times when I decided, you know what? I'm not going to do that. And I don't regret the times when I decided I'm going to make my family more of a priority than whatever this thing was that was so important right now in my mind. So we don't want the important things to get crowded out. So tonight we're looking at a few principles to help us achieve balance while we're striving for personal, family, and professional success. And by the way, success is a very interesting word to me. Because really, what is success? Some people say, well, success is climbing to the top of the corporate ladder. I've also heard it said that it is very lonely at the top of the corporate ladder. So success, you might reach success and discover that it really wasn't that great after all. So we need to make sure we know what success is. And again, there's personal, family, professional, making sure we understand what our goals really are. So balance. 3 things here we're looking at. The first one says pare down or you will wear down. Number 2, take time for your physical health. And number 3, take time for your mental and spiritual health. So let's take a look at the first one first. Pare down or you will wear down. When we're crazy busy and about to snap, the result is inefficiency, irritability, and ill health. So society tends to say if you have lots of projects, then you are an important person. So we tend to pile our plates with a lot of projects. And in fact, interestingly enough, projects can be an illusion. It can feel like we're doing a lot of things because we have a lot of projects, but we can find out that being so busy really keeps us from that ultimate success. So inefficiency, irritability, ill health, and interestingly enough, a lot of times we don't realize what's going on until we hit a crisis. So we end up with some kind of a health issue, and all of a sudden we say, oh, I need to take time on my health. So we need to simplify. So here's our next question. What are some ways to simplify life but improve its quality? Think about that. What would you say to that? What are some ways to simplify life but improve its quality?
For me, it's learning to say no sometimes to things that come along and they seem like good, and maybe I have an interest in it, and then you add it to something that's already going on. So one of the ways is to just say no.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
I wouldn't say it's easy to say no. Sometimes I say yes and wish later I would have said no. But yeah.
Mine is very similar to Dr. Ed's. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh, what absolutely has to get done today, and what can wait till tomorrow? And then sometimes the things for tomorrow we don't ever have to take care of it. Something dissolves and goes away. So what I absolutely have to do today, in the next 5 minutes, the next hour, that kind of thing.
All right. So making a priority list.
Writing it down really helps me too.
So it's interesting when we realize, a lot of times we say, well, I need more storage space. Ever thought that? I need more storage space. I need more bookcases in my house so that I can store more books. And I'm realizing a better course of action is to realize, maybe I don't need more storage space. I need less junk. I don't need more bookcases. I need less books. So paring down, it kind of feels scary sometimes to get rid of some of those things. But the freedom you have when all of a sudden you realize you have space to work in, it's amazing. So you pare things down. You say no to a project that sounds like it would have been really fun because you want to make family a higher priority. And pretty soon you find your life becoming more and more meaningful because you've eliminated the things that actually are crippling you from enjoying the rest of your life. So, nutrition. So we'll quit preaching and go to meddling here. Caffeine, sugar, and alcohol. It says they rob the nervous system of real strength and lead to fatigue, cravings, and addictions. Interestingly enough, caffeine, sugar, and alcohol are actually counterfeit energy. They give you the feeling that you've gotten rest. They give you the feeling that you're feeling better, but they're a short-term high, but they leave you more empty than before. And as the author of these meetings says, there are no shortcuts to true mental and physical strength. When you take the shortcut, when you take that caffeine, when you eat that load of sugar, if you drink that alcohol, you momentarily feel better again, but then you're even worse off than you were before. So there has to be a better way. So you look at your high fiber vegetables, fruits, beans, whole grains. They actually provide energy. They calm the nerves. They improve mental clarity. And you start feeling better. So when you're stressed, instead of grabbing that candy bar and wolfing it down, you might take a 10-minute nap. You might wait until lunch and eat something that is some fruit or something like that actually gives you a better feeling and a longer lasting happiness. So the shortcuts are short term, but they leave you empty. The real stuff, the long lasting stuff, often takes longer, but it gives you a better life. So there are better options than most people take in order to get that energy. And then there's exercise. So what are most people's excuse for not getting exercise? What would you say?
Not enough time.
Not enough. I don't have time to exercise. There's one other one. Dr. Holm, what would you say? I'm sure you've heard a lot of excuses on this one.
Yeah, I have. Not enough time is the most common, and the other is putting it off, saying, "Well, tomorrow will be better." Right? So it's already noon, so I better wait and do it again. I'll put it off. So it's the procrastinating, and then some people do ache. They actually feel tired after exercising, and I'll tell them, if you get in shape, you won't be so tired. So don't stop just because you're tired.
Yeah. Good advice. So, and the interesting thing is, there have been times when I've been sitting and trying to do a project and found out my mind was just zoned for way too long. But if I'll get up and I'll get a little bit of exercise, I can come back and get a lot more done in less time because my brain has gotten that boost that it needed. So part of that key, of course, is the finding exercise that is enjoyable to you. If you don't like swimming, don't sign up for the swimming pool. If you don't like going for a walk by yourself, grab a friend and force them to do it with you. Misery loves company. Or just discovering that it can be fun to get out and get exercise, make it something that is an enjoyable experience. So the question becomes not will I exercise today, but when and where? Because I know I'm going to be better off if I get that exercise and it actually helps me to move forward. And then there's this rest thing. So again, there's common excuses. What's the most common excuse for not getting enough rest?
Don't have enough. Have too many things I need to do.
So we're back to not enough time. Why didn't God give us 48 hours in a day? Because we would have worn out in the process. Kara?
We also like to stay up and watch our late night shows.
All right. So I have other priorities.
We want to have me time before the day ends.
All right. So we find ourselves hurrying. And I'm convinced another reason why we do this is a lot of times we don't really want to think about life as it is. And so we want to live, we want to watch our shows, we want to do these things that gets us away from what's really happening. But if we realize, if we take time to get the nutrition we need, if we take time to get the rest we need, pretty soon our minds are going to be capable of actually functioning better. We'll have more of an enjoyable life, and we will be far better off. So how do we get enough rest? Number one, establish a sleep routine. We are people of habit. And if we establish a routine, a lot of times it helps us get that rest we need. Slow down our evening pace. So instead of watching that exciting show just before you go to bed, start slowing things down, relax, have some peppermint tea or something. Number three, it's hard. Leave your media alone at night. It's an adrenaline rush when you turn on your email to see what the latest buzz is out there. But we're better off if we just relax, let the world go on its own, and discover that it will actually be there in the morning. So leave media alone. Don't eat late. And again, there's that caffeine and alcohol. They are counterfeits. They stimulate our nervous system, but they really leave us empty. So going on to the mental health, that's a crucial one. Mentally refreshing diversions like hobbies, social time, reading, recreation, mini vacations for your brain and body. How long has it been since you went on a mini vacation? 10 minutes. Dr. Holm.
Well, I just went on a 2-day vacation, so it doesn't count as a mini vacation.
Hey, that's even better.
Yes.
That's important as well.
Yeah, sometimes just reviewing old things that you did that were fun. Right now you can't get to the places you usually go, and so you're kind of frustrated with that. But you can go down memory lane and remember some trips or camp backpacking or lakes, or even this weekend we were at a motel that Barb and her mother went to many times.
Wow.
So we just talk about those things that went well from the past. So that can be a mini vacation.
That's neat. So Carrie, anything you do for a mini vacation?
I like to just go out to the lake for the day or go to a river for the day.
Hey,
That just really recharges me. Put my feet in the water.
nice.
You don't have to go like all that far.
True.
Just diversion from the normal life.
Mm,
Like your bathtub, huh?
Yeah, that'll work.
that works.
Light a candle or two and you're good.
Yeah. So whether it's a 2-day vacation, whether it's a 4-hour mini vacation, or even if it's a 10-minute mini vacation, to give yourself permission to take 10 minutes to read a little bit of that book you would have been interested in reading. Or if you enjoy art, just give yourself permission. I'm going to take 10 minutes to try to draw something. Just take that time to actually enjoy life. That text I read from Ecclesiastes encourage us to enjoy the life that we have. So here's a challenge. Twice a day, take a 10-minute mini vacation and just see what that kind of a thing will do for you. You can actually, you look forward to vacation. Dr. Holm, I know you and Barb were looking forward to taking your vacation you just took.
No.
There's something invigorating about just being able to look forward to vacation. If I know that I'm going to take a mini vacation at 11 o'clock, it can actually give me a boost during the morning, just looking forward to what I'm going to do. And by the way, if you make an appointment with yourself, keep your appointment. That's important as well. So, mini vacations, positive connections with others. We need those connections. Your mental, physical, social, and spiritual life are drastically improved if we just make sure we take that positive connection. It's amazing how simple it can be. Pick up the phone, call somebody. Have a 2-minute conversation, 3-minute conversation. You feel so much better because you've connected and you've grown that kind of a relationship. Spiritual health is another crucial aspect. God wants you to trust him to guide you safely through life's busy challenges. If you are walking down an unfamiliar jungle path, you're going to be very nervous. But if you are following a guide that's been down that path hundreds of times, now you're able to kind of relax and say, okay, I'm going to enjoy this journey because there's somebody here who knows how to safely navigate this path. So spiritual health is at the center of a balanced lifestyle. God says in Hebrews 13:5, I will never leave you and I will never forsake you. And for me, it's powerful to just kind of rest in that kind of a promise. I may not know how to solve this, but God does. And if I will take that, perhaps a mini vacation, just to soak that in, realize God is doing for us what we need. And then there's the weekly vacation God has planned for us. At creation, God set aside a special day of rest, friendship, and time with him. The Bible in Genesis 2:3 says, God blessed the seventh day because in it he rested from all his work, which God had created and made. God is one who enjoys reveling in the beauty. He enjoys seeing other people delighted in what he's done. He made the Sabbath, the seventh-day Sabbath, to rest, to enjoy, to appreciate just the joy of being a creator. And we as God's children are able to enjoy being his creation, being his children. It's so important for us to take that time. Here in the Ten Commandments, Exodus 28-11, it says, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. It says, the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it you shall do no work. Now, for some, that sounds like a prohibition. Oh, I can't work. But for many, it's like, thank you for giving me permission not to have to do any work. Those screaming projects that call our name 6 days out of the week, we have permission to tell them to be quiet and not bother us for an entire day out of the week. No more bills, no more chores, no more shopping, no more working, studying, or even worrying. Worry is work. So during the hours of the Sabbath, we don't have to worry. In reality, we don't have to the rest of the week either. But especially on Sabbath, we don't have to worry because God has said, rest in me and I will take care of you. So we need to remember, God cares about our schedule. He wants us to rest physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. He wants us to rest throughout the week, and especially on that seventh day of the week. We're just about there. God wants us to be able to experience that rest that he wants to give us. So God's priorities for our life will not crush us. They will strengthen us and empower us. If we are in tune with his priorities, we're going to have that rest, that balance, that joy. God has it for us. And he is urging us to receive it. In fact, he says, come apart to a quiet spot and rest a while. 1 Peter 5:7 says, casting all your care upon him, for he cares for you. So my question for you tonight is, will you accept his invitation? Will you say, yes, I will come apart to a quiet spot and just rest? I hope you have a special Sabbath day's rest over the next 24 hours, just trusting in what God has for you. Well, Kara, I'm going to turn the time back over to you.
Amen. And I'm glad that Sabbath is coming here very shortly.
Amen.
And looking forward to Sabbath. I've learned that when I do set stuff aside for the Sabbath, like schoolwork and things like that, I do much better when I get back to it, and I'm much more efficient.
Amen.
Well, that was one thing that I never was tempted to do in medical school, was to study on Sabbath. So some people got nervous and started getting worried about test time, and they would sneak in some flashcards or something. But it was a blessing to know that once sundown came, I wasn't going to study, and frequently went hiking or something on Sabbath afternoons, and then I would hit it on Saturday night or Sunday if there was a test coming up. So anyway, it was a blessing not to get into that trap. Now I get ready for the Sabbath school lesson on Friday night, so actually it's one of my more stressful evenings. But it's good. It's good material.
Maybe you need to do that on Thursday night.
Yeah, I can think about that. Tim Jones joined us.
Welcome, Tim. We are wrapping up for the evening, but I would like to invite you back on Monday night at 7 o'clock. We will be doing Hope for the Diabetic. Dr. Ed Home will be presenting that. And we know that about 50% of Americans are diabetic or pre-diabetic, and it's an important topic. And we look forward to that presentation, Dr. Ed. So that's Monday night at 7.
I was going to just let Tim know, because he's getting in here late, that this was recorded on YouTube. So if the subject tonight about stress and hurry and worry is something you want to listen to, it is recorded, and you just have to go to the YouTube channel.
I did want to mention that back there, Pastor Ted, and you were asking how you pare down. Shelley Baze is on, your wife was on YouTube and mentioned that she tries not to fill her plate so full. So.
The other thing I was going to mention is, for some people, picking up the phone is pretty natural. They love it. They love being on the phone and talking. I'm a little bit more of an introvert, and it's work to get on the phone. I stress just thinking about needing to make phone calls. I frequently put my phone calls off. So you're telling us how it energizes you to share. And frequently I'll feel better after it's done, but my natural inclination is to put that off, put those things off. So maybe rather than putting them off, I should grab them and do them early, and then it could energize me for the day instead of making it part of the uncompleted tasks that still need to be done.
Mm-hmm.
I find that I try to get the thing that I'm dreading the most done first. And then
That's good.
Things I dread, I put at the bottom. But that's not the way time management people tell you to do it. When you're fresh, grab those things that you find the most challenging, do them early, and then reward yourself with easy ones.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you, Pastor Ted. And have a happy Sabbath, everyone. We will see you again next week. We have 4 more presentations next week. Again, Monday night is Hope for the Diabetic. And I don't have the schedule here, but we'll be here. We'll be doing this on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday of next week. So we hope to see you then. 7 o'clock. All of the information to sign in on Zoom is on Facebook, and if you get the church, Ceres Church emails, you have the information there as well. Have a good night.
Bye now.
Good night.